In today's video, we're going to go into the new Easton Hype Fire Slow Pitch Softball Bat. So I've got all three versions, the ASA USA and the two USSSA models. So we'll go through it. Is it worth the hype? Spoiler alert, not really. All right, so if you're new to my bat reviews, I always hit these off the tee with radar to try to make it as clearly comparable as possible, where everything is barreled up, line drive. That way we can really tell apples to apples comparisons of exit velocity.
And this is a sponsored video between myself and justbats.com. They sent me all these bats so that I could test them and help you make a more informed buying decision. You'll find all the bats in today's video in the description below, including our comparison bats, some of which are on sale for a great deal.
And I always try to compare the target bats with some comparison bats just so we have a reference point. So I've got the ASA Hype Fire, and its comparison bat is the Miken KP23 two-piece Neon. They're both two-piece. They're both the same weight. This is a really good comp. And then for the two USSSA Hype Fires, I've got the D. Marini Twisted Mistress mid-loaded, and I've got the D. Marini The Culture. So these are both very good USSSA bats, same price point. So we'll compare all these six so you have a benchmark to compare against the Hype Fires. All right, so thoughts on the D. Marini Culture. Really crisp, sharp feel off the bat. I like the way this feels. It's very crisp and hard. So if you like that for a shotgun crack kind of feel, this is a good bat for you.
So I like swinging the Culture. I felt like it was easy to swing. It's got a really crisp, hard feel to it. It's pretty reminiscent of a lot of D. Marini, so if you like that feel, you'll like this one. But I felt like I could whip it through the zone and really enjoyed swinging it.
D. Marini Twisted Mistress. This swing's a little heavy for me, even though it's a mid-load. It's a little bit surprising, but this did feel a little bit heavier than swinging D. Marini The Culture. So I like the mid-loads, and I've liked the Twisted Mistresses. This one, to me, for whatever reason, this feels a little bit heavier than normal. Same very crisp feel. It feels like the same barrel technology as the Culture. These feel basically identical off the bat. So if you like that hard, crisp feel, either of these bats are going to be really good. And if you're a mid-load person, the Twisted Mistress is a good choice. But I do feel like it just swings a little bit heavy compared to other mid-loads that I've swung. All right, KB23 Neon. So this is a two-piece USA stamp bat. I actually warrantied out the KP23. It's like a bluish with a little bit of a teal tint to it. I really like that bat. It was a really high performer. It broke. It cracked at the at this connection. And they send me this one under warranty. And this is basically, as far as I can tell, the exact same bat. It feels exactly the same. It swings exactly the same. It looks exactly the same except for paint job. And the same feel. It's very crisp. It has that kind of like glassy, almost feels like it's going to shatter every time you hit it kind of feel to it. I like swinging these KB23s. This is one of my favorites of the year. Just the feel, that kind of glassy, like crisp contact, I really enjoy. But this is a really high-performing bat. And as you could tell, this one was right there in line with the new Easton Hype Fire USA. So is the USA stamp Easton Hype Fire worth all the hype? The answer is no. So I put this off the tee, 90, 92, 93, the same as pretty much all the other high-end bats from my velocity range. This didn't hit 2 miles per hour higher or 3 miles per hour higher, which is kind of what you're looking for if you're going to say this bat is better than all the rest. It doesn't seem to have a bigger sweet spot. It doesn't feel better in a sense that like, ooh, when I hit through with this one, I just really like it. This one has a sort of dull kind of thud feel, has a little bit of bounciness, has a little bit of softness. It's not overly crisp. It's not overly bouncy, like that big trampoline effect. It's kind of a very neutral feeling bat, in my opinion. Now, the one thing that's different in this test compared to some of my others is I actually broke this in games. I got about 50 swings in games before I actually got to test this, which usually I test everything else out of the wrapper. These other bats today were out of the wrapper. So this got the benefit of the doubt actually being hit with me and a teammate over about 50 plate appearances total between us. And it still didn't perform higher than this KP23. And like I said, it has a very neutral feel. It feels very similar to like the Easton Alpha. Not as bouncy as the Easton Tantrum. I kind of assumed this was going to be the same as the Easton Tantrum. I'm now convinced that it's not the exact same bat, even though it looks very similar. Now, overall, this is a good high-performing bat. But really, it's basically the same as all the other $300 bats. It's not, again, better off the tee than this one is. And it really just depends on what feel you want. This is a very kind of neutral, not overly trampoline effect, not overly crisp or like hard feeling. And honestly, just a little uninspiring. I love swinging the Combat Mustang. It's got a really bouncy feel to it. I love swinging the Combat, the Shoot bat. I really like swinging the Axe bats. They have a really like interesting, crisp, trampoline-y kind of feel. I really like swinging the Dean Rainey Flipper. This one, it's good, but it doesn't leave me with this like, oh yeah, I would instantly recommend just the way it feels off the bat. It feels kind of ordinary, in my opinion. So is the Hype Fire worth the hype? In my opinion, it's a really good bat, but it's not really worth the hype. All right, the USSSA models of the new Easton Hype Fire. So you got a one piece and we have a two piece, very, very similar. They feel identical. They also, even though one's a one piece and one's a two piece, the stiffness of the handles feel very, very similar to me, where I really couldn't tell much of a difference. They have a sort of like crisp, neutral feel off the bat. Both are high performers up in line with some of the rest, but also these did not perform as well as some of the DeMarinis I tested this year and many of the other USSSA bats. So these are good bats. Are they great bats? No, not in my opinion. And I think because these have had so much hype, and that's literally in the name, but also coming from the youth baseball and fast pitch world, I think there was a lot of expectation that these were going to blow everyone else out of the water, and for me, be like 2 or 3 miles per hour higher exit velocity. That's just not the case. So I like the paint job of the Hype Fires. I like the way they look. In general, it's a good bat to swing, but it's not exceptional. It's not something that I would write home about. It's not something I say, ooh, that's the one you've got to get. It's a good bat. If you like the paint job, you like swinging Eastons, these swing very similar to the Alphas or the Tantrums, just not quite as bouncy as the Tantrums, in my opinion, then they're good bats. But do you need to rush out and find one? In my opinion, the answer is no. All right, so what other questions do you have about the new Easton Hype Fire slow pitch bats? Leave me a comment in the description below. Happy to start a discussion about it. And look, I really enjoy testing bats. I feel like this bat, it's a little bit unfair of me to give it so much scrutiny, but in part that's because there has been a lot of hype that this is going to be like the king of slow pitch bats. And in my experience testing it, and I've shown you the radar readings, I don't really see that that's the case. So is this still a great bat? Is this had a different paint job? How will we be talking about it a little bit differently? Probably. But because it was so hyped up, wink, wink, it really is, I think, subject to a little higher level of scrutiny that may not be fair. But overall, it's a good bat. Is it worth the hype? Not so much.